Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world, joining us for the Renault Sport Trophy and the 6th round of the season as far as the Endurance Championship is concerned. My name's Johnny Palmer, joined by John Hindhaugh for the next 70 minutes plus a lap.
Hello.
For the endurance race. Then this is an opportunity to see the pro drivers into the cars for the first half an hour, and of course that first chunk of the race does contribute to the pro drivers solo championship as well. We kind of freeze the screen after 25 minutes-ish and add some points into their championship for their solo championship in isolation. Then we continue on, of course, into the pit stop window, which falls between 30 and 40 minutes of this 70-minute race, and then we welcome the AM drivers to take the cars to the finish. 14 cars here for the final race of the RS 01 Trophy, the Renault Sport Trophy. And we're looking at Stijn Schothorst, who starts the number 19 Equipe Verscheur car. Frans Verscheur is the man at the head of the team, a real enthusiast for motorsport. And Frans can often be seen, if his cars are victorious, on the podium, glugging the champagne along with the drivers.
It's been a heck of a season, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. We started way back in Spain, not a million miles away from here, of course, at the Motorland venue. A couple of races, or indeed 3 races at Imola as part of the European Le Mans Series. That one-off event at Monaco. These cars didn't go there, but the Formula Renault, the Eurocup Formula Renault cars did. But we've had rounds at the Red Bull Ring in Austria, Paul Ricard, Spa-Francorchamps, and we're now here on the Atlantic coast, John, in Estoril.
Yep, just up off the coastline, not too far away. The montage that you saw before is literally just down at the bottom of the hill from where we are, Monte Estoril, the casino. Beautiful promenade that stretches all the way down to Cascais, which is about a 15-minute walk if you want to do that. Marcus Baltala, normally see him behind the wheel of a Ferrari. Team Mark VDS, a team very well known to sports car and motorcycle enthusiasts. The circuit here dates from the early 1970s. 16 corners, 2.5 miles around, or just over 4 kilometres, and that very long 984 metre straight. There's Kevin Kojus in the R.S. GP entered car. These cars purpose-built racing machines with a carbon fibre centre section, carbon fibre brakes. They are very, very quick indeed, quicker than a GT3 car. They use the Nismo 3.8 litre V6 twin turbo engine for 1 million horsepower or something. It's a very, very powerful machine, very slippery through the air, and a championship that for the pro and the AM drivers, Johnny, that is worth winning, because it can either be very financially lucrative or potentially very helpful to your career.
Yeah, we've seen Andrea Pizzitola come through the ranks in 2015, and his reward for winning the championship last year was a drive at the Le Mans 24 Hours, which he did with the Algarve Pro Racing crew in their LMP2 car. But yes, it's a unique prize scheme as part of the Renault Sport Trophy. The winner in the Pro category will receive a complete preparation programme before participating in the driver selection test organised by the official Super GT Nismo team, so a potential drive in Japan.
And that's what Andrea did last year, but he didn't take that. He took some money instead and put that towards his Le Mans drive.
That's the other option you can do. So if you don't choose the Super GT Nismo team option, you instead receive a cash prize of €200,000. The AM champion will win a ride in the LMP2 for 24 Hours of Le Mans, or if indeed you prefer, a €140,000 cash prize to move up to the Renault Sport Trophy Pro category, and that's exactly what Dario Capitanio did from last year into this. He's now a pro driver.
Except there's no category in 2017. That's the bad news, because these cars in this championship disappear next year after just a couple of seasons of fantastic running. 50 cars were built by Renault Sport, and no thought of them ever being a road car. This was a purpose-built racing car, and what a car it has been. Scintillating performance. But sadly, this weekend is the last time that we'll see them in as designed now and as ready to go now. There is a GT3 convergence package that raises the car up, puts a big air brake in between the pylons on the back wing and gives them steel brakes rather than carbon fibre brakes. We've seen the cars race in that spec. They are much slower, but much more like a GT3 time, but of course they've never been built as a road car, so they always have to run under a waiver. I have to say, I did the commentary on the final rounds at Jerez last year and thoroughly enjoyed it. I've seen these cars run before, and I think it's a shame that they're disappearing before really they have run out of interest for anybody. Big field here as well.
Frederick Blomstedt took a surprise championship lead in Spa, because although he was running in about third or fourth, and by the way, we'll run you through the grid before I'll give you the championship position. Stijn Schottel starts the number 19 Equipe Verschure car, then alongside Marcus Paltela for Team Mark VDS EG 0.0. Kevin Courjus, the best placed R.S. GP car, alongside Peter Schottels, who is Stijn's brother. Tanart Satyterakul, again for Team Mark VDS, starts in 5th position alongside Raoul Owens in the other R-Race car. Anders Fjordbach starting the... Sorry, beg your pardon, Dario Capitanio, who moved up to Pro Class for this year, starts 7th alongside Nelson Panziatici. David Fuminelli comes next in 9th position alongside Lonnie Martins, who interestingly has a Portuguese flag alongside his name on the car, although on my entry list he's labelled as French, which is interesting. 11th and 12th, Josh Webster making a return to the championship in the number 6 car alongside Anders Fjordbach in the 11. And then we have a new driver into the championship, Pedro Molero, who is Portuguese, sharing that drive with Adalberto Baptista, and he starts alongside Nicky Pastorelli in the number 7 V8 Racing car. The crew from the Netherlands here with 2 machines this weekend, both the Josh Webster and Nicky Pastorelli cars. So at roughly half distance, we'll kind of freeze the timing screen and award points to these pro drivers as far as their solo championship is concerned. But of course we'll carry on racing. The cars have to pit in that 10-minute pit stop window between 30 and 40 minutes, and then they'll hand over to their AM co-drivers to take these cars to the flag. It is the Stijn Schottels driven Vodafone backed number 19 car, then the dark blue machine, which will start to the left of your shot, the driver's right, as it heads down to turn number 1, alongside Marcus Paltala in the blue, yellow and grey car.
And Lonnie Martins was born in Paris, so he's definitely French.
There is definitely a Portuguese flag next to his name, though, which whether he has connections with this circuit or this area, I know not what, but there was a very late decision to head into the pit lane. I think the safety car driver, pace car driver, was always going to do that. It's a very uneven start, though. The red lights must have gone out now, and Marcus Paltela is going to struggle to hang on to 2nd position here. Stijn Schottels sensibly sticking to driver's right. The 3 Oregon cars more or less all together. Are they going to get through here is the first question on my lips.
The back. There was contact at the back there, and there's one, that's the 5 car that's got damage there.
Oh, you're right.
Pedro Molero.
And Paltela has lost 2nd position. He's way out on the grass. Look, that's not the prescribed line, down to turn number 3. And Paltela rejoins almost alongside his teammate.
In the middle of the pack as well. It's the Mark VDS, the 9 car.
That's Paltela. That's Paltela with
an loud competition, excuse me.
Uncharacteristic mistake there from the Finn. And the green car of Nicky Pastorelli is walking wounded, along with Pedro Molero, new to the championship. Well, welcome to the Renault Sport Trophy, Pedro.
Well, he ran into the back of somebody on the first corner, and that's why he did himself damage. And there's more contact. Oh, I'll have 3 goes at spinning you out. I tell you what, I didn't get you first time, Raoul Owens. Yeah. I didn't get you the second time, but third time's a charm.
Yeah. And now, was that Lonnie Martins on board the 17 car or his teammate? We'll see a replay of that, I'm sure, as well. Our directors will be very, very busy after these first lap escapades. We're not even 2/3 of the way round this first lap yet.
Just remind everybody, it's a 70-minute race, Johnny. This is the last lap of a 5-lap sprint.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, it cannot be won. But then again, they are also racing for pro points, remember? So they're kind of treating this as a sprint race within an endurance race. So 2 of the Oregon cars still look very straight. A big old wiggle there from Dario Capitanio through the Parabolica Ayrton Senna. And the cars that we have left in the race have come across the line now.
Some of them almost complete.
Separated by 3/4 of a second between Stijn Schottels and Kevin Courjus. Very, very good on the brakes, of course, as well as you say. Full carbon discs and pads on these cars. They're high-performance machines producing something like 550 brake horsepower. But Marcus Paltela, first of all, need to find out why he ended up so far wide out of turn 2, and then what happened at turn 3, which resulted in a spin. Must have been contact. The safety car is out, by the way.
Yeah, Raoul Owens has been towed back onto the circuit by one of the new Renault talismans that they use as intervention vehicles. There's someone already in the pit lane as well. And that, yes, of course, it is the 5 car that had that incident earlier on. Was that Baptista or Moliero? It must have been Moliero behind the wheel, wasn't it? Watched out to the first corner. Actually, it's already happened by then. This is the one right in the middle of the pack. Watch in the middle of the pack here.
Contact with Nicky Pastorelli in the 7 car.
Who then spun as well.
That's what pitched Marcus Paltela around. Nearly took out the other Mark VDS car. Yes, but the other Mark VDS car almost involved. Tanart Satin-Tericul did a really good job to dodge round. Watch the grey and red car there. Has a slam on the anchors. Do I go left? Do I go right? Worked his way through. Had a car right on his gearbox as well, up his tailpipes. And that was Josh Webster trying to keep out of trouble, the young Brit.
Now here's the battle. So it was the 16 car.
It wasn't Lonnie Martins.
Nelson Panciatici. If we get a good Nelson, we get very good.
Yeah.
When we don't, he can be somewhat destructive. And in fact, he was in the last couple of races at Jerez last year, I remember, as into the pit lane with a left rear puncture.
That was another one of the RS GP cars, Raul Owens.
Now he's been dragged out of the gravel.
Okay.
So he's just about to go a lap down.
Yeah, and there is the 5 of Pedro Moliero from the Oregon team, and
there's Owens coming in front of him. Lovely looking cars. Well,
maybe not from this angle. And Oregon run 3 cars. They're quite used to fixing machines on the fly. Sadly, the big Renault badge has been lost from the front of that car as well. And Moliero straight out to assess the damage, realising his race will go no further. And sadly for Adalberto Baptista.
Yeah, he was the other driver that was there looking over that car. Problem is, with nothing to race next year, how much are you going to throw at that? If you haven't got the spares, are you going to throw a lot of financial at it? And there goes Owens back into the race, but I think he's just dropped off the lead lap this time around.
Raul Owens has completed 1 lap, hasn't he? And onto his second, and everyone else is now on their third. So yes, a lap down for Raul Owens, but back in the race, crucially. Pedro Moliero very unlikely to rejoin, the way that the Oregon team were looking at the front of their car. The iconic paint job for the Oregon team, though, with the pink nose, the yellow mid-body and the green rear. We still have a couple of those cars in the race. Nicky Pastorelli's still running, by the way, despite his incidents with Marcus Paltela. And interestingly, they're going to start next to each other when the green flag flies again. Josh Webster there in the yellow and black car. It's getting very, very tight.
Where's
there.
Panciatici? He's in the middle
16,
of the pack.
yeah.
Okay.
But that whole incident came close to involving Panciatici's teammate Lonnie Martins, who was right behind in the 17 car, the Duquesne Engineering machines. So the safety car already back to the main straight, and now the cars appear at Parabolic at Ayrton Senna, because waiting so long to bury the throttle was Stijn Schothorst, but he's got a really good getaway
Everybody
here.
else was asleep there, Johnny.
3 abreast further back, though, because that's...
guess what?
Tanart Satin-Tericul, Josh Webster in the middle, and here's Nicky Pastorelli.
No!
And they're already making contact before the braking area. Are they going to get in there safely? Yes, just about. Pastorelli got ahead of everybody, which was kind of crucial to no further contact being made, let me tell you. Josh Webster sneaking through as well, and Satin-Tericul just ahead of Marcus Paltela. So we've got both of the Team Mark VDS cars right at the back of the order now, discounting the cars that have dropped off the lead lap. Raul Owens came round to complete 2 laps, whereas everyone he's fighting has now completed 3. So this is the start of lap 4 of a 70-minute race. And remember, these pro drivers are fighting for pro points within their championship. So it is important to finish as high as you can after the 25-minute marker or thereabouts.
Good restart from Nicky Pastorelli, already made up a couple of places.
Yep, side by side with Josh Webster and Tanart Satin-Tericul down to turn 1. Josh Webster kept things clean, though, the former Porsche Carrera Cup GP driver. So used to high-performance rear-wheel drive cars, and now the black flag's being waved in the direction of Raul Owens after he was helped out of the gravel by the marshals.
From a position of danger, though, surely he was towed out from a position of of danger to a position of safety. Ooh, that's harsh.
But isn't there some rule about if you're the reason why the safety car came out, then
well,
you're
he
not
got tipped into it, in fairness, by Panciatici. He basically threw him off by doing the old rear three-quarter tap.
1, 2, and then 3, you're out.
Third straight, you're out.
There's Lonnie Martins in the 17 Duquesne engineering car in an Oregon sandwich. Oregano sandwich it could be, but Oregon team then heading down towards the second turn. There is the 3 car of Kevin Courjus, slowing from second position. I didn't think further back as well. That's Satyen Terakul involved with the number 11 car of Anders Fjordbach. So it's all kicking off again very early on in the race. And Fjordbach, I'm not sure whether that was his fault or Satyen Terakul's, but just saw the back end of that incident. And more crucially, we've lost our second place car.
Looked like that just died.
Yeah.
Almost as if there was no fire from the 3.8 V6 twin turbo motor.
A strange incident, because these cars can often do a 12 or a 24-hour race.
Well, we've seen them out in Abu Dhabi, haven't we?
Yes, that's right. And I've seen one at Mugello as well as part of the 24-hour series.
Naughty.
Thinking about an overlap there. Nelson Panciatici on Dario Capitanio. I have to say, the pro part of these endurance races is always thoroughly entertaining. The problem is when you get the pros in to start the race, because you've got very little car to hand over to the AM driver at the end. It's far better the other way around.
I'm just going to give you this black bin liner. In here, you'll find what's left of our car.
Yes.
Right.
Try and get it to the finish.
Now, watch behind. Yeah, it was side-by-side contact.
It was, between Anders Fjordbach and Tanart Satyen Terakul. So that's more problems for the other Mark VDS car. There's Marcus Paltela still pointing in the right direction. He was close to getting involved in that incident as well. And you saw in the foreground Kevin Courjus' car grinding to a halt.
Cough, splutter, cough.
And he was in second position. So it's now a Schotthorst 1-2 with Stein and Peter leading the way. Pieter Schotthorst generally shows a little bit more pace than Stein Schotthorst, so we'll keep our eyes peeled as to that leading battle. There's 3.5 seconds between them at the moment. So it's the Vodafone car from the McGregor car, both from Equipe Vacheur's awning.
And that's where the car has come to a halt. Well, that wasn't very smart, was it? Drive round on the circuit whilst the car is conking out. I think I'd be having a word if I was the clerk of the course there.
Right before that right-hand kink is not an easy place to encounter a stopped car.
So just an hour to go then, Johnny.
Yes. How many of these are we going to get to the finish, do you think?
Well, Owens at the moment, his team is protesting their case massively, because he can see that by the end of this race he could win this, even though he's a lap and a bit down.
I wouldn't put it past him.
Just keep your nose clean. Try not to get hit by anybody whose name begins with P.
Bear in mind, Raul Owens to hand over to Freddie Blomstedt, who is no slouch, leading the championship, Frederick Blomstedt.
Oh, he's not, is he?
He is, yes.
Oh my goodness, so that's the championship leading car for the Arms.
Blomstedt leads overall because he's had a change of co-driver through the year.
In the endurance, yeah.
In endurance, so it was Blomstedt leading on 82 points ahead of this race from Fabian Schiller and Marcus Paltela, the car at the back of the race virtually. Where is Paltela now? Running around in 9th position in the Mark VDS car. So they're tied on 69 points because they're co-drivers. Kevin Courjus, who is Blomstedt's co-driver, then effectively 4th in the championship, and trailing Schiller and Paltela by 2 points. And then you've got the Schotthorsts, Jeroen and Peter, father and son.
Well, Schotthorst Fuminelli, not a plastic surgeon's practice, but actually the leading 3 of the race. That's just what it sounds like, though, a little bit, doesn't it?
It does a little bit, yeah. Fuminelli 15th in the championship on 19 points, but Peter Schotthorst, Stein's only come back to the championship recently, so...
Oh my goodness, side by side through a yellow flag zone. Are you kidding me?
That is crazy as well.
Right, that is just appalling. They've been through there at least once before.
Yes.
And Fuminelli there, all right, he's battling for position. And... no, I'm sorry, I'm not liking that at all.
Is side-by-side overtaking?
You had a Nissan Navara on the track there.
Yeah, doing a grand job to recover Kevin Courjus' car, which was not thought about well by the Estonian to leave it where it was.
That was a bit dim as well, in fairness.
But nevertheless, to then attempt an overtake out of turn 4 past that recovery work is
Capitano, come on.
Leaving a lot to be desired, I'd say. Capitano's tucked in behind the 17 car. He could claim that he was unsighted by the Duquesne engineering machine.
Except for the double yellow flags that were waving on driver's right.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
And single yellow that had been waving on the post beforehand. And
Over
the
the
fact that
line.
he'd driven past the incident once before, Johnny, come on.
5.5 seconds is now the lead gap for Stijn Schothorst from Peter Schothorst.
And then everybody else is behind Peter Schothorst. Fuminelli, Martins, Capitano and Panciatici is good. Oh, anything can happen now if Nelson gets on the back of this lot.
Yeah, I'm puzzled at Pieter's relative lack of pace compared to Stijn's at the moment, because Pieter generally is quicker, but that number 21 car may not be quite on song.
So Panciatici and Pastorelli, who caused carnage in the first lap, still yellow flags waving here, notice in the background there.
Yeah.
And where's the green? There's the green.
Just
so
before
all
the kink.
Good. And they are gaining on this, four-car battle for second down to fifth. Nice move this time by Fuminelli, who does get underneath the 17 car, and Lonnie Martins lose position in that Duquesne, the black and blue Duquesne engineering car. So that is a position down. There is the Owens car. Now he is not going to be happy. I got tipped off into the gravel by somebody else. Then I get pulled out by the marshals. I restart the car, carry on. Why have you called us in? You could see exactly what he was saying there.
Yeah.
And I think he's got a case.
Yeah, absolutely. Raul Owens feeling very hard done to there, and I think quite rightly so. He was having a word with the team initially on the wall, and may well...
Panciatici hasn't been pinged for that yet.
No. May well take a wander down to the clerk of the course potentially as well. Here was the side-by-side moment, and the thing is, the car trying to do the overtaking is on the side of the recovery work as well.
That was the other thing that worried me about that.
So you've got a potentially quicker car.
It was Fuminelli, wasn't it, who was coming through? It was the four car.
Okay.
Yeah,
David Fuminelli
on Schothorst. That was the battle for second place.
So it was Dario Capitano who just pulled off that really good manoeuvre through the parabolic interior, wasn't it?
That was fine.
On Lonnie Martins, yeah.
It was definitely the four car when I saw that replay. So that was Fuminelli who was a bit naughty there.
Right, so Corjuse's car is recovered
Gone.
now,
yeah,
no longer
good.
there.
Green
so
flags,
green
good,
flag through there, no problem. And the two Oregon cars have found each other. The two remaining Oregon cars now running third and fourth behind Peter Schothorst. So nose to tail for David Fuminelli and Dario Capitano. Lonnie Martins actually losing a little bit of time on these two cars up ahead, and set to be joined by Nelson Panciatici, his teammate. So you better hope that Nelson Panciatici doesn't start to take chunks out of Lonnie Martins, considering they're being run out of the same garage. But he's bringing Nicky Pastorelli with him as well, which promises to be entertaining. Good exit there from Fuminelli.
This discussion is still going on the pit wall about how do I get penalised for being taken out of the race by Panciatici. And remember that, as we've said, that is the car, the Owens car, that he shares with Freddie Blomstedt, who's leading the Endurance Championship.
Correct. So we're looking for people further down the order now to outscore Blomstedt. Blomstedt will not score anything.
No.
It's not the case like it is in European Le Mans Series, where you get half a point still to be running, but of course that car's not even running now, so no points for Blomstedt. I need to get the calculator out at this point. Schiller and Paltela, well, at the moment Paltela is 9th, for which you get 2 points, so that's not going to be enough. Kevin Corjuse is part of the Blomstedt team, so we don't need to worry about that car, but the 21 machine, which is Peter Schothorst and Jeroen Schothorst, if they win this race, that will give them 25, so that's 75, 80, that might just do it, 83 by a point, I reckon. But they've got to win the race. Meanwhile, back to the race itself, we haven't had cars hit each other for a while, so let's maybe change that. But these are teammates, remember, so try and keep it tidy, boys. David Fuminelli and Dario Capitano. It's Capitano in the 1 car with the yellow door mirrors, and Fuminelli with the black door mirrors in the sideways number 4 car. This is drawing Lonnie Martins in as well in 5th position.
Look great, those Oregon cars, don't they?
They do, yes.
And
that's the leader.
Leader's been
That's
off.
the race leader off track. at turn 4,
which
I
is
reckon.
where we had the yellow flags
Correct.
earlier, and that means the lead, which was 5 and a bit seconds plus, is now down to nothing at all. And we've got, is it just when I come and commentate on these that everybody goes bonkers?
Did you watch the Spa race? That
Yes.
was absolute carnage from the off as well. They're entertaining, but these cars don't often need quite a bit of repairing on the Saturday night.
Renault Sport deciding to can the series because they don't have time to make all the spare parts.
Maybe you're right, yes. But bear in mind, these cars will have to do 2 sprint races tomorrow as well, where the AM drivers get their own chance of a race, with a 25-minute plus a lap affair, and the pros likewise. But
It does seem to me as though Capitano is quicker through the twistier bits on the far side of the circuit than Fuminelli, his teammate, in that number 4 car ahead. Now that might be a slight setup change or difference on the car. It might just be a difference in driving style. But the big news is that Fuminelli is getting out of the final corner quicker. Down the inside, big dive bomb manoeuvre. Well, it took Fuminelli by surprise. I'm not surprised because there was no way that Capitano was going to make the corner there. And had he gone any further off, they would have checked his pass before he came back on.
I think that's where the old circuit used to go.
Yes, it is, yes. Martins is right there.
Yeah, Lonnie Martins there in 5th position, taking a load of curb there through that right-hander before Gancho, and a little bit of a touch maybe, just a slight glancing blow from Lonnie Martins' front splitter on the rear of Capitano's car. But Nelson Pansy-Ticci there as well in the 16 machine.
And behind Pansy-Ticci
is Nicky Pastorelli.
Yeah, the 2 Ps are closing in on this. Now here it is. He's never going to make that in a million years. And if you notice, the 4 car there, David Fuminelli just says, nah, I'm going to let you go. He's off. I mean, he braked so late. He was a full car's length off the track as well.
Here comes Capitano again, not happy clearly with that manoeuvre earlier on, so he's going to try it again.
Is there?
Yeah, hammering their way down towards turn number 1. The car's almost porpoising as they land on the brakes. Now, what's happening out front? It's still a gap of, well, 1.5 seconds, because Stein Schotthorst makes up for that error at turn 4 by setting the best sector 1 time of anybody. But we're concentrating, quite understandably, on this queue for 3rd position. Now, here comes Lonnie Martins. Nelson Pansy-Ticci not far away either. So up the road and gone, Pieter Schotthorst.
Pansy-Ticci with damage to the right front of his car. Watch the black car, the first of the black cars. The bonnet area is flapping around. He's lost one of the catches on that car.
And very nearly a headlight.
Yeah, sorry, the second of the black cars there. As you can see him turning in there. See him bouncing around there, Johnny?
Yeah.
Now that might get him a black and orange flag, because you do not want that amount of carbon fibre coming loose side by side here.
Here comes Lonnie Martins on the outside of Orella corner then, side by side with Capitano, who's giving him racing room in fairness.
Well, maybe not.
More bumping and banging, and Lonnie Martins is off onto the gravel, so he loses a couple of places. There's going to be more contact. There's a tyre bale to avoid there as well. They just about managed to thread their way through Gancho, and Marcus Paltella spots an opportunity to gain some of these places back again, which is crucial for the championship. Bear in mind, Paltella to hand the car over to Fabian Schiller. They trail in the championship by 13 points, and bear in mind that the car they're chasing is no longer in the race. It's not going to score. So how far up the order can they get? Nicky Pastorelli this time with a good run.
The engine's gone. Engine's gone. No, wait, no. It's a front right tyre. Front right tyre from all the rubbing. It's a front right tyre that has gone there.
Capitano.
Oh my, he did well to hold on to that.
I thought you were right. That was engine smoke initially, but no, tyre smoke certainly coming from the underneath of the car.
Shows you how the aero works on those cars, Johnny, that was dragged underneath. I did think it was coming out from underneath the car as well. So the banging from Capitano and Lonnie Martins.
To be investigated after the race. Still nothing, though, about the 16 up against the 2, as in Nelson Pansy-Ticci versus Raoul Owens, which
tipped him out the race.
Three attempts at it, but yes, at this point on the circuit there was 3 separate collisions, and sadly for Dario Capitano, a really exciting race up until that point. But as you say, I don't think the contact.
He's not even going back to the pit lane. I'm leaving that there. Just watch here.
That seems to be the way of things.
There's my goodness, fantastic driving by Pansy-Ticci there to avoid the slowing car.
And did he get the place? Or was he already, no, he's already ahead of the green,
Yeah.
Nicky Pastorelli. So this is presumably what started, although the puncture was on the front right, wasn't it? It
Yes,
wasn't
it
front
was.
left.
But he'd already been battling with his teammate, of course. This was a bit
true.
naughty, actually. This is fine here, as you rightly said, gives him racing room.
One,
then look, hello,
two,
1,
three.
2. Hello.
And then off onto the gravel for Lonnie Martins. No, you don't, sunshine. And that gifted, obviously, everybody behind Lonnie a place.
Wouldn't you have thought, just going to say
Safety car again, by the way.
Well, yes, obviously, because there's a car park just to the left. Might have been able just to drive that car another 20 metres and turn it left into the end of the pit lane. We've not seen a lot of heads-up driving here, have we?
No. There's not a lot of consideration for other people in the race, from Kevin Courgeus and from Dario Capitanio. I realise your head's not necessarily in the mind frame to think about other people when
that's
just...
good. I like that. The little arrow, normally used when people coming out the pit lane, of course, but...
Yes.
I
So...
am not up.
That was Capitanio, I presume.
Yeah, he was not up, was he?
No.
Definitely not at all.
So, again, the lead margin is brought down to absolutely nothing. These highlights will last quite a long time, I feel.
You only have to show the first lap again, frankly.
So here we go. It was always going to get pretty busy into
Watch
that
at the
pinch
back now.
point.
Right,
We didn't see that bit.
see that.
That's Paltler off the track, and also, yes, the incident that happened at turn 1 accounted for one of the Oregon cars. Contact between Nicky Pastorelli and Paltler booted the right pedal there to try and rescue the car. Pastorelli also spun and nearly collected Tanat Satyantarakool and Josh Webster. They did well to ease off the throttle and get through. 1, 2, 3. And already lost a bit of the dive plane and aero effect there from Nelson Pansy-Teachy's car, but that was Raoul Owens being nerfed into the gravel trap and then being told by the race control team that you can't carry on. That could have ended in disaster as well. Surprised that those guys got through. Pastorelli on the inside, gaining 2 spots in one go ahead of Josh Webster and Satyantarakool. Lock up for Lonnie Martins. Results in him between Fuminelli and Dario Capitanio. There was contact further back as well between Anders Fjordbach and Satyantarakool, and that was Kevin Courgeus from second place in the race. His car grinding to a halt. Satyantarakool's done well to find a reverse gear there and get the car back out onto track. And then the 2 Oregon cars started to not quite take chunks out of each other, but it came
there's
close.
Damage to the back of the 4 car. You can see that the diffuser's flapping around.
Yeah.
So there's a ding there. Now this is where I reckon, oh no, maybe not. There was no contact there, but a long way off the circuit, that wouldn't have done the right front any good.
No, indeed, and he's gone off potentially into marbles and created quite a bit of pickup maybe. Then there was contact to the left side of the number 1 car with Lonnie Martins, who very nearly lost it, squirming as he rejoined, and had to allow Josh Webster through and possibly Marcus Paltler as well. And that's where we are now with Dario Capitanio's car stranded at the end of the main straight. Still, this is a replay. But in 4.5 minutes, the pit lane will open and there will be an opportunity for drivers to come in and hand over to their AM driver.
And do you might start that? I suppose you do. You get your... If you looks like you're going to have a long yellow, you might as well have your AM driver in.
Yeah, that's a fair point. What this is doing, of course, is locking the positions in place for the pro points that will be awarded just before the pit stops, although the safety car is going to come in this lap.
Oh, you're going to have a 1-lap dash for the pro points, aren't you?
Yes, for the race within a race. Remember, there are halfway points on offer here for the pro drivers, and it'll be 25 for a win, 18 for second, 15 for third, and then the rest of them 12 for fourth, 10 points for 5th position. So who is going to win this race? Because Stein Schotzhorst has
the last chance
lap
as well for the pros to score points this season, isn't it?
They have a solo pro race tomorrow as well.
In the endurance, in the endurance.
In the endurance, correct.
Right, okay. So here we go then.
Yeah.
This could be tremendously entertaining. Who's got the over and under on how many cars are going to be running at the end? Still 43 minutes to go here, Johnny.
There must be a book open somewhere. If not, decide now who's going to get to the end of this lap, let alone the race. Pit lane window opens in 3 minutes, so we could squeeze an extra lap out of this.
Here we go.
And I think it's going to be on this.
Watch Pansy-Teachy and
So we're racing again. Here comes Nicky Pastorelli closing in on the Oregon car as well. So that was Fuminelli losing 1, maybe 2 places. Yes. So David Fuminelli loses a spot to Patsy Ticci, who gives Nicky Pastorelli a bit of a shoulder barge there.
Fuminelli gets the position back.
Yeah, good man.
At least one of them dives back inside.
So there was a bit more contact between Patsy Ticci and Pastorelli there.
Webster's in there behind them.
On the inside, and Pastorelli says,
mate.
there isn't a gap there, but I'll make one. Off the inside of turn 3.
Patsy Ticci's done exactly as he did in Jerez last year in the last round. He's hit everything. He's hit every. What, can we have the pace car out again so he can drive in the back of that as well and have the full set?
So headlight slightly out of alignment, which shows some of the contact that he's had. Is there rain starting to pour as well, just to add a bit more variety?
No,
Nicky Pastorelli struggling to get this car stopped.
Puncture
Another
to the 7, I think. Left.
Yeah. Both tyres on that side look to be inflated, but the front left.
Yeah, it's
I think
if
the
it's not
sidewall's
down,
gone, isn't it?
It's going down.
Yeah,
there it is. He's not going to get that to the end of the lap.
Which
there
has
you go.
ruined his opportunity to score points in the sprint race within the endurance race.
Slow down. Got a lot of the lap to go. I'm not sure if this is where it happened. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, that's where it happened.
Front left corner.
You're right, there wasn't a space there.
Inflated and now starts to deflate, methinks. As the cars come through the parabolic at Ayrton Senna then, and the pit lane will be open next time around. So this for me is the end of the pro sprint race as they head across the line, and it will be Stijn Schotters to take the victory then by 0.8 of a second ahead of his brother Nelson Patsy Ticci, 3rd place points.
Question, if that 7 car can get back around for Pastorelli, he might be able to get into the pit lane with the pit lane open. If he times it, it's about a minute. He might be able to get into the pit lane and do the tyre change and the driver change at the same time. Just depends how slow he is through the last part of the lap, I suppose. All these incidents, by the way, being investigated after the race. I fear that we may have to say all results are provisional.
Yes.
At the end of this, and we'll bring you up to date when we bring you the racing tomorrow about who's been sent to stand in a corner with the big corned hat on with the D on it.
Pastorelli and David Fuminelli's incident will be investigated. The measures just being shown on the screen. There's Marcus Paltela.
1:17 as well. That was Capitano and Lonnie Martins. That's after the race.
Fine, okay. So we need not worry about that just yet. Marcus Paltela now up to 5th position. So
he's laughing. He's got to be just thinking this is a joke ahead of him because he's just seeing everybody throw themselves at the scenery. He's having all these birthdays and Christmases coming together. The pit window is now open, as Johnny rightly calculated. So at the end of this, what is it, 13th race? As they come through this time?
No, we're a bit further on than that. This will be the end of lap 70.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, and
no takers.
The opportunity assured by the leading drivers.
But the 7 car is in, obviously, to change this front left tyre, and they're deciding to do the driver change anyway. Well, it is within the 10 minutes, although the car came in just before the pit lane window opened.
Well, did it?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it? Because you have to pit during the window, surely. It's not just about when you change your driver. Okay.
Well, they could possibly make that into, not an advantage as such, because they lost a lot of time. There's the guys. Now, they are celebrating the win and the 25 points for our leader.
Correct.
For the 19 car of Stijn Schotters.
Yeah, very, very happy with that, and I'll need to check now the pro points just to see whether that's actually confirmed anything as far as the 16 championship for the pro drivers is concerned. So you talk amongst yourselves whilst I'll get the pro driver championship table up. But we continue racing, of course.
Well, there is the 7 car coming out now with Julie Berlin behind the wheel. Also in the pit lane now is the 15 car, the Monlau competition. So that'll be Fran Reder getting into that. So there is our 21 car, Peter Shorthurst. And he is sitting in 2nd position at the moment. And now here's the first of the leaders coming in. Panciatici. No, it's not, excuse me. It's the 9 car coming in. It's Marcus Paltala. So that's tactics there. Maybe wanting to get his partner out into a bit of clear air there. Paltala handing over to Fabian Schiller.
Yes, that will confirm the Pro Championship for Peter Schotthorst, because he'll move with that second place finish in the first bit of this race. He'll move to 134 points from 116. Kevin Corsius no longer in the race, and Paltala with only 25 points still on offer tomorrow, therefore won't be able to catch Peter Schotthorst.
Okay, so
that is the Pro Championship decided in part 1 of the endurance race today.
Oh, the 7 pit stop time. That was almost inevitable for the V8 Racing guys. Nicky Pastorelli. There is a minimum time that the car's got to be in the pits. This is, as in many championships, where you're getting people in and out of cars. It's to make sure that everything is done properly on the car and that everybody's got their belts done up. It's down to the team manager standing there in front with his stopwatch. He will know when it is. They'll have timed this in the practice sessions. Now, as long as he's on the pit lane speed limiter, when he comes out of the pit lane, it's pit in to pit out. They will have worked out exactly where it is. It does rely on the driver saying to you, in the pit lane now, so you can start your stopwatch over the radio. So well done to Peter Schotthorst then, who is heading to Japan for preparation for a GT5, a Super GT test for Nissan. Nissan and Renault partners, of course, in street cars as well as some of their racing activities, and indeed the month power unit, the V6 twin turbo engine that is amidships of these RS01s, is a Nismo unit, similar to the GT3 GTR motor, based on that unit.
And the Schotthorsts deciding to stay out and have a bit of fun at the moment at the head of the order. Lots of opposite lock required there, though, as Stein Schotthorst threw the car into the first parabolica, over the rise and then down the hill into Orela corner, or the ear, and then onto the hook at Gancho. And the leader will have to deal with a little bit of traffic in a moment or two, because that is the rejoining Mark VDS car. So as we know, Satyen Terukul has handed over to his co-driver Fran Reda, and Reda will have to keep his eyes keenly on the mirrors, because these two Equipe Vasseur cars are coming through at pace. There is the second place car, the new 2016 champion for the Renault Sport Trophy in the Pro element of the race. We still have an endurance champion to crown. That could be a couple of drivers, it might just be the one, depending on whether the duos have stayed with each other all year or whether there's been a bit of a change in the driver combinations. And there's also the AM has already gone the way of Fabian Schiller, hasn't it, in Spa. Fabian Schiller getting that championship a month ago. So here is Stein Schotthorst to bring the race-leading car in to the pits, and he is handing over to co-driver Miguel Ramos, another driver here at his home race. So Ramos to do the final stint in this endurance part of the Renault Sport Trophy, and Peter Schotthorst has stayed out, so he takes the race lead now. Only got just under 4 minutes in order to make your stop.
So he needs to do it this lap, really, to be sure.
And we're waiting for the top 6 cars now to come down pit road. Sadly, 4 cars no longer run in this race. The number 1 of Dario Capitanio, Raul Owens we know all about, Kevin Corsius, and Pedro Molero were lost early on. So Miguel Ramos gets the car started, and the former race-leading car about to rejoin the race. I'm sure that Equipe Vasseur have decided to do one car on one lap and then get the other car in at the end of this lap, so they're not in danger of double stacking. There is Marcus Paltala, Fabian Schiller rather, because that car's come in and they've exchanged drivers. So Schiller,
tight this.
It is. This for the.
See how they're going across to the wall.
Yeah.
Next time we see the shot from turn 1, I'll point out why they're doing that. It's incredibly bumpy on the racing line in the braking area, and you can see that by the darker lines there that show it up. It's like somebody has creased the bread spread. It looks like it's been pushed back up again, and these cars very aero dependent, and you don't want them doing that porpoising that you saw beforehand. It decreases your braking efficiency, so they're driving over a different part of the circuit. There's Lonnie Martin's out.
Lonnie Martin's out, and look to the car, Portuguese flag there, alongside Lonnie Martin's name. I'm not sure whether that's just because he's racing in Portugal, whether he has a grandparent who's Portuguese, but...
What happened with the bumping? He took us off the track, and I was up there, I was alongside of it. I thought I had loads of room.
Please tell them it's supposed to be a professional category.
Now, it's not Lonnie they want to be talking to, it's Nelson Panzi-Ticci. If they're complaining about... it's the 3 times. It's the wrong driver. That's the problem. 1, 2, 3. But Nelson Panzi-Ticci was the offender, not Lonnie Martins. And Lonnie's going, what's the matter? What have I done? I don't think I got up to anything. Because Lonnie was right behind the incident.
I want to see this in the pit lane, guys. They've got the wrong driver there.
That's the main problem, isn't it? And Lonnie doesn't understand what's going on because he wasn't involved. Are they complaining about this incident? No, because that's not an RSGP car. The guy who was starting that discussion was from RSGP. It's Oregon who need to have a word with Lonnie Martins, arguably, although you might put fault at Dario Capitanio for that, potentially. I think Lonnie's done a pretty good race.
I don't think that was...
I think he was generally pretty clean. This is Panzi-Ticci. Am I right? No, that's the McGregor car. So that is Peter Schotthorst coming in from what was the lead of the race, kind of second position before the pit stops began. And actually we've got the top 4 cars all in the pit lane now. So Peter Schotthorst from the lead, Josh Webster is in to hand over to Oliver Fremuth. We've got Anders Fjordback to hand over to his co-driver, and David Fuminelli from 4th position about to hand over to Andres Mendes. But yes, interesting that, because RSGP certainly had a case, and Raul Martins and Frederick Blomstedt feeling hard done to, but they needed to be approaching the right driver to start that discussion, and preferably do it with a steward in the room as well, rather than down in the pit lane. So this is the eye of the storm, if you like, where everything goes quiet because it is a minimum pit stop time. Making sure that the straps are done up then for...
Well, and also making sure it's across the top of your hands device, because if it isn't, number 1, it's tremendously uncomfortable, and number 2, your hands device doesn't really do anything. And it's nigh on impossible, as it get a big slide there, coming out the final corner. It's nigh on impossible to use your thumb to get it back over the top. And the other thing is, of course, to do that, you've got to slacken your belt off. I know of what I speak here. That's going to be very brave down there with that bumpy area, and he's not going to get that one stopped. The 9 car going very wide. Schiller, he had half a chance of getting ahead of those 2 cars coming out the pits there.
Through the kink there, caught loads of curb, and there was almost a bow wave there because of all the standing water on the blue and white curb. He did tremendously well to hang on to that as well.
Has everybody pitted?
Yes, of the running cars.
Okay.
Yes.
And this is not finished yet either, as through goes that number 9 car, Schiller. Well, he had to work to get past those 2 cars that came out of the pits. He could have been right on the tail of the car ahead, but he wanted a little bit more there. Oh, and that's another accident. That is Christophe Hamon. And who was he involved with? There was another car there.
11.
Oh, no, guess what?
11.
It was Dennis Anderson.
Yeah. Oh, nearly an Oregon car collected. Or
nice spin turn, though.
Yeah, tasty from Christophe Hamon. And after saying that Lonnie Martins had a pretty clean stint, Christophe Hamon straight there getting his elbows stuck in. Not sure. Well, I need to see the lead up to that incident to apportion blame if we can between Dennis Anderson and Christophe Hamon. But
do we have a strong suspicion that there's going to be quite a line of drivers at the headmaster's office at the end of this? Good job there's not another race today. The 2 individual races for the 2 single driver races are tomorrow, which is probably just as well, because I'm not sure we're going to get past all of the slaps on wrists that are going to be required at the end of this.
I don't think the clerk of the course is going to get back in time for happy hour.
No, he's not. He's not going to be down on the coast for happy hour unless it stops at 10 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, he better hope there's a cold beer waiting for him once he's...
Look at this.
This is Schiller again, up the inside then of Miguel Ramos, and picks him off very tastily indeed. Fabian Schiller.
So that's a new leader.
That is a new leader, absolutely. Fabian Schiller has been very honest earlier on in the season to say, do you know what, I'm not really sure I should be classified as an AM driver. He's got the lack of experience, if you like, to be an AM driver, so he's perfectly legitimately in this class, but he has shown that generally across the piece he's got the pace on most of these drivers.
He's going to have to be careful laying down black stripes of Michelin rubber as he was there.
That's a good point.
To make those tyres last for another half an hour.
Yeah, although he's done all the hard work now and is out front, so can kind of boss it from there, assuming, as you say, those Michelins beneath him last the distance.
They don't change tyres in the pit stop, do they?
I think you possibly can do, but
I
they
didn't
try and
see
avoid
anybody
it.
do it. There's going to be a time penalty for the number 7 cards going from bad to worse for Nicky Pastorelli and Jalil Bellin. They weren't in they weren't in the lane long enough, so that's why that was nice and neat and tidy though.
Let's hear from Julien in the pit lane.
Peter, just congratulations on winning the pro title, and you get a little help from your brother Stein out there. How was it? How does it feel?
Well, we were together in front, and that's obviously a great feeling. But the main win for us is to win the championship, and I'm very happy to do so with my team. So I'm a happy man.
Thank you, Peter. Stein, a word from you. You nearly won the title last year. You nearly won the title last year in the pro category. How special is it to come back and help your brother win it for Equipe Schiller?
It's great, obviously, to come back here in the last race. Has some mixed feelings because last year on this event we lost the championship, but it also makes it even better to win it this time, and to be able to win it together with him on this last race is great.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So that is and congratulations from Guido van der Garde there, fellow Dutchman. Interesting.
Who put in a splendid qualifying performance for the G-Drive.
Yes, he did.
Machine early on. Came up about half a second short, third position for them if you weren't with our broadcast earlier on. That's the Dutch contingent all together there. Nice to see that. Been a good season though. And well reminded by Julien there that the Schothursts were, well, not robbed, they lost the title in the last race of the season at Jerez last year. But it's not happening that way around for them this year. And Peter wins the pro category, so he is going to take part in the training and then the driver selection for the Super GT in Nissan Super GT training camp, effectively in Japan. And if that doesn't go his way, he'll get a couple of €100,000 to put towards his driving, or to go out and buy a nice new car.
And that's with the race to go, bear in mind as well, because they'll be in pro action tomorrow too.
There's those bumps I was talking about, Johnny, and that's why if you're on your own, you're staying away from those and doing your braking across the track. It's a real compromise doing that, because effectively you slightly tighten up the first corner because you're going off at an angle, and making the first corner slightly tighter than it needs to be, but it's far more comfortable for you and the car doing that.
Thierry Suave has now taken over the Nelson Panciatici Duquesne Engineering car.
Fabulously named Frenchman.
Indeed, yes. What nationality is he, do you think?
He has to be French.
But the nose of the car was almost coming away from that RS01, dare I say, such as the damage that, or the condition that Nelson Panciatici handed the car over to Thierry. But he's doing a good job getting the car stopped down at turn 1. So this is Oliver Fremuth now, who has taken over the number 6 machine. That's the car that's regularly been raced by Carmen Jorda through the year. She's not here in Portugal, so Oliver Fremuth sharing with Josh Webster this weekend.
Been a bit disappointed with Carmen Jorda's performance. I thought she might have done better in these cars. An opportunity for her to move across. She's been touted in single-seater circumstances, circles. But really, I just don't think she got her head round the car, to be honest, Johnny. Her performances haven't been up to the level you would have expected of a driver of her experience and her talent, I suppose.
She's had Josh Webster as a person to offer some advice and as a co-driver in and out of the car, but he's not been with her all year, and I think there's been quite a bit of change as far as her fellow co-drivers being concerned through the year. May have been better for her to have had somebody consistent, but
Good point.
I think these cars are pretty tricky to get your head around, and you either get them
Super
or you don't.
fast.
Yeah, but it'd be interesting to see what she moves on to next. The yellow and black car still here.
I was talking to the guys from Stracker about these cars. They have one, and they rate it as a sports prototype, which is effectively what it is, isn't it? Let's be honest. Never built as a road car, although 50 of them have been built. And even as I say that, I realise that there will be people watching and listening who will say, well, that's 46 more than Ford built from an alleged street-going car to go and win Le Mans. Yes, but they had a waiver on that. I know what you're saying, but 50 of these cars have been assembled by Renault Sport, a dedicated racing car with zero compromise, and it is a fast and fearsome car with well over 500 horsepower mounted amidships and a power-to-weight ratio that is delicious. Everyone who's driven one has enjoyed driving them, but say that they are a car that needs a bit of time in to get comfortable in the car. This is not a car that's built on a street car. And again, the wet patches there on the final corner, almost catching out drivers. Shothurst there in that 21 car, just going across the line now. But this is not a car that's built on a nice, comfortable street car that, you know, is then turned into a GT3 car. This is a race car first of all, and you know, first, middle and last it's a race car, and there are very few compromises built into this car. It is meant to do what it's done, and these little sprint races have been, generally speaking, first of all, they can take a hit. We've seen that. We can see them banging against each other's.
Yes.
And we've seen these cars run right up to 24 hours and be very, very competitive.
Yeah. One of these cars has been victorious indeed at the Mugello 12 hours. That was a V8 Racing run car with Pastorelli, I believe, in the winning squad. But yeah, talking to Marcus.
That was endurance, Nicky, though, wasn't it? And he drove really, really well that weekend. I remember you guys talking about it. Yeah. And it is a strange situation that you, depending on which Nicky Pastorelli you get, you're either going to get a car that's well up in the standards and comes back pristine, or one that comes back like an Airfix kit.
A bag of bits.
Yeah. Before assembly, that is.
Yes. Well, Thierry Suave has taken that car over now, and it is still circulating. 6th position for the number 16 car. He's behind Jeroen Schothorst. That's a former race-leading car during the pit stop phase. Oliver Freymuth we're looking at the moment in 4th position, so he has Jeroen right on his boot lid, and then Thierry Suave next in the sequence. But the race is led by Fabian Schiller from Miguel Ramos. 28 laps now done, another 19 minutes plus a lap to go, and the lead margin is 5.7 seconds. So there.
So that's
Mendes and Christophe Amon.
Yeah.
And they're to be separated by 0.9 of a second, so that gap is opening up, if anything. Yeah, interesting you mentioned about the Stracker car, which appeared in the first couple of rounds of this year. Lewis Williamson, who's a young kid who's got a lot of potential, racing with
leader almost going off. Fabian Schiller leading the
deliberate line.
Braking. He had a very sideways moment. Yeah, Lewis Williamson, young Scottish driver, has been co-opted into their LMP2 team in the World Championship and has done very, very well. And indeed, with the illness that befell Nick Leventis in Japan, when he had a nasty bout of bacterial bronchitis and had to go home, meant that Williamson and Johnny Kane did the whole race themselves. And Lewis has not been at all outclassed by a very, very competitive LMP2 field. Oh no, hello, what's going on here? No, hang on. I've got 7 left at the end of the race. I've got 5.
Any advance on 5?
Who had Shorthurst to win after 25 minutes? Oh, yeah.
They're working out now who we need to speak to at the end of the race. There's going to be quite a queue, I think.
I think all of the pro drivers that were in at the start of the race are going to be spoken to in one way or another, either because they're going to be slapped on the wrist or they're going to have to give testimony against someone who drove into them.
Yes.
Basically, get them all in a room and tell them you're disappointed with them.
I mean, they were all in a room yesterday for a driver's briefing whereby everything was explained to them, and which corners they wouldn't be able to shortcut and which ones they could use plenty of curb at, why the safety car would be deployed and what the procedure was there, and also don't hit anybody else where possible. We've kind of had quite a lot of that.
Miguel Ramos then being closed in on at the moment by Fran Rueda.
So this is Portugal versus Spain.
And this is it still for second place? It is.
Ramos
has dropped some 8 seconds behind Schiller, who leads. So this is the battle for second and third.
And bear in mind,
5 seconds behind the lead, excuse me.
if Rueda can get by Miguel Ramos, we'll then have a Mark VDS 1-2. How unlikely was that at the start of the race when both cars are at the back?
Correct.
And struggling even to stay on the lead lap.
Yep, good point.
So that move not done yet, but Rueda does show a little bit more pace than Miguel Ramos. He was 0.4 of a second faster than the Portuguese last time around. These are the young kids. Go on.
Now, is that a change of position? Is that Hamon ahead now of Mendes? I think it was, wasn't it? Yes, it is. So that's a change of position.
For 7th place.
Yeah.
And away in the distance there is the other Duquesne engineering car, exactly the same paint scheme as the 17, but you're quite right, yes. Amont has got ahead of Thierry Suave, and they're both closing in on... Amont's ahead of Mendes, and Suave's next up the road.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly so. So Schiller by nearly 6 seconds from Ramos, who's been gained on by Rueda. Then Fremuth is a goodly distance back, but has got Shorthurst on his tail. So that's a decent battle for 4th position there as well. And Mendes dropping away then from Amon. Christophe Amon, who took over the 17 car from Lonnie Martin, so the all French pairing there, and the French Duquesne engineering car. There is the battle we were just talking about. Chiron Shorthurst in the second of those 2 cars, the darker colour scheme, sort of a dark blue shade, and ahead of him that would be Oliver Fremuth, the German driver.
And these two look quite evenly matched. Last time around, Jeroen was a little bit quicker, so he's gaining time, but he's now got to try and find a way past Oliver Fremuth. We'll see whether he does that in the next few laps, but first of all, a word from Julien down in the pit lane.
Marcus Bartella, a very chaotic stint in the Pro category, but you guys are still in it in the Endurance Championship, with Fabian running very strongly at the front at the moment.
Well, I didn't really hear anything. What did it just say?
No, I say your stint in the Pro category was quite chaotic with a lot of door banging. How was it from your perspective?
Well, I would say that the first 3 corners were a little bit chaotic because I had 3 contacts and 1 off and 1 spin. So, yeah. We all fought for the same space, and it didn't really work out for me, so I think I was last. But we got lucky with the safety cars because they always put the group together, and in the end I was P5, not far away from the P1. So then we did a strategy call, and Fabian earlier in, and he got free track for a couple of laps, and he emerged basically second after all the pit stops and passed Ramos. So it's just basically great comeback so far. But now we are excited that everything goes well. I mean, he's controlling the race, but you know, anything can happen, so we are still nervous.
Yeah, because despite losing out in the Pro category, you can win the Endurance title. That would be a nice fitting conclusion for a very strong season for Mac VDS.
Well, to be honest, I didn't even think about the Pro category coming here because I missed the weekend, and there was Imola where I was crashed out. So basically, I had 2 targets for this weekend, which are team title and the Endurance title. And I think it's looking pretty good for both at the moment. I mean, we still have to finish this race for the Endurance, but if we finish like this, we are champion, and we get good points also for the team championship. So it's all going good, but keeping fingers crossed.
Thank you very much, Marcus.
the point that he made there, Johnny, was well made. That they did a bit of sneaky strategy. Remember that Paltala car was the first car that came in to do the driver change. Everyone else stayed out for at least a couple of laps, and that gave his teammates the opportunity to have a couple of decent laps to get up to speed, and Fabian Schiller, well, didn't need any second invitation.
So this is the two Mark VDS cars now running together. Now, is this looking back from the... I'm trying to work out whether this is live pictures
Ramos.
or not.
Yeah, that's
Here
Ramos, and he's battling with
the Mark
the
VDS
15.
cars have switched around. So what's the problem with Fabian Schiller? Because this is Fran Ruder now out front.
So that's the leader, has dropped behind these two.
Yes, and Ruder now off the track, so that will reset everything again. It is absolutely the battle for the lead. So Schiller's clearly made a mistake somewhere. During the time we were hearing from
his teammate
Marcus Paltala, oblivious to the fact that Schiller's gone off the road, and we never did have Ruder ahead of the number 19 car, did we? So this is Fabian Schiller running wide here, leading the race by a massive margin, because we still don't see the second place car come through shortly. Now it appears. And Fran Ruder, I think, was already ahead. But Miguel Ramos now leads the race once more. And Fabian Schiller, you said he might have pushed a bit too hard on those Michelin tyres earlier on. Well, he's going to have to lean on them once more, as we've got yellow flags at turn 13. So more incident potentially, not involving these three cars. That's the last corner, and the car off in the gravel going backwards, we reckon. You'll get a shot of it in a moment.
Yeah, and it's stuck there. It's
stuck there.
Right on the exit of the parabolic centre. They're coming to the area now. Watch out for the yellow flags waving, and I think I'm not going to guess. Not going to guess which car it was.
It'll be yellow flags now. Yes, there they are, and the car is off to the left. No. There it is, and I can't work that one out from the foot straight on shot. Who have we not got still? Normally there is an S on our timing screen to display who's no longer running.
The 17. Is it the Duquesne Engineering car? Is that the Christophe Amon car?
I thought
it was a Duquesne Engineering car, but I didn't want to say it.
Well, it's either Christophe Amon or Thierry Suave in that case, either the 16 or the 17, off in the gravel. And the question is now who is still running between those two cars. But this is the lead of the race, and bear in mind we've only got a small section of the circuit that is covered by yellow flags, as an intervention vehicle is now working its way into that gravel trap. So Oliver Freymuth makes his way through sector 3 at the end of that lap, and I'm waiting to see Thierry Suave appear at the end of lap 33 on the timing screen. Still waiting for Thierry Suave, and he's still there, and Christophe Amon is still running as well. So it's neither of those cars, John. Might be the 11 of Dennis Anderson, which is a similar colour.
It's certainly a dark coloured car with a white flash on the bonnet. I'm sort of slightly giggling at the fact that Miguel Ramos, who's leading, looks like he's been in a rallycross race. He's got so much mud on the front of the car.
Yeah.
Second place at the moment. Second and third, the two Mark VDS car. Then the battle further back down between Suave and Amon, and there's Suave going off and Amon going through. That was 5th position, and Suave is just about getting back on as he gets that car sideways through the gravel.
It's Jeroen Schothorst, I think, in the gravel at
It is, it's the 21
13.
car. It is the 21 car, you're absolutely right.
Jeroen Schothorst with the McGregor backing, so the sister car to the race leader, and as you say, with the gravel and the dirt and the shale sprayed up over the windscreen and the front splitter of that car. But Miguel Ramos leads the race from Fabian Schiller.
Away.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing.
Yeah,
there we go.
right.
There's confirmation. It's the 21 car. The only one that I could detect on the timing screen that was no longer circulating after 4 retirements before that one.
An awful lot of dark coloured cars in this, interesting. There's the two very distinctive Mark VDS machines.
Double waved yellows at turn 13 now, unsurprisingly. So still 8.5 minutes plus a lap to go. And now I need to work out whether second place for Fabian Schiller and Marcus Paltala as part of the Endurance Trophy is enough to give them the championship. Paltala very chilled, ice-like Finn on the pit wall, saying everything seems to be going to plan. Little did he know that Fabian Schiller was having his own rallycross moment. Did well to recover that, but you only have to run over some gravel
6
stones.
seconds though, wasn't it, that he lost there?
It was a considerable lead,
Yeah.
But I'm slightly fearful for the tyres as well, because a trip through the gravel there will not do them any good.
Well, and stones get into brake calipers, they get in underneath drive belts, and it's just not good. It's not good for a racing car. All kinds of things can be worked loose. Double yellows being waved with some gusto by our intrepid marshals as the snatch tractor is getting rid of the Equipe Vacher number 21 of Jeroen Shorthurst. Pretty much a fully dry circuit at that point, and there again the driver's staying away from that very, very corrugated area of the tarmac right in the braking area. Yellow flags waving here as well at turn 3 for a moment. There is the Shorthurst car being gradually moved. Those cars don't balance very well, do they? Where the lift point is not exactly the right spot, and that marshal having to pull the front end up so that it doesn't ground in the gravel. So first, second and third together with under 7 minutes to go now, Johnny. And what has the arithmetic told you?
The arithmetic has told me that 18 points that you get for second place, which is the Fabian Schiller Marcus Paltela car, is enough to take the championship by 5 points ahead of Frederick Blomstedt. This is what I was talking about, the fact that Frederick Blomstedt has had changes in co-driver through the year, so he stands alone at the top of the charts coming to this race in Estoril on 82 points. Schiller and Paltela on 69, but 69 plus 18 is 87, which will leapfrog Schiller and Paltela to the 2016 championship.
Corjus is the next one back, but that car, of course, is gone.
Correct, as Blomstedt and Corjus sharing a car this weekend.
And Jeroen and Peter Shorthurst both out as well.
As we've just seen, the Shorthurst car number 21 is in the gravel, and Raul Owens couldn't catch Blomstedt anyway because he was too far back. And certainly can't catch Fabian Schiller and Marcus Paltela, the position that they're in currently.
Well, Raul Owens, really, the issue there was because he was sharing with Blomstedt, so when Owens was tipped off very early on in the piece by Nelson Panciatici, that was the end of Blomstedt's championship hopes, despite the fact that he came in with a 13-point lead. Yeah, 13-point lead into this. Arithmetic, never my strongest point. It was a double period on Friday. So the top 3 doesn't take any quadratic equations to see how close they are at the moment, all on the same bit of racetrack. Now, you've got to be on the phone, haven't you, to the 15 car, Franz Rueda, to say, just hold position there, I don't think you need to be challenging your teammate here. And I'm not sure Schiller, somebody needs to have done the workings out back at base and be saying to Schiller, don't worry, you don't have to get past that car in front, just bring it home from here, son.
Absolutely. And even if that car slipped to third, that would still be 15 points and enough to give them the championship. But what they don't want is any funny business between the two Mark VDS guys. They get on well outside the car, still very young guys, these two, but promise much in the future of endurance racing, quite possibly. And of course they'll be looking for a new place to be driving in 2017 with the discontinuation of this Renault Sport Trophy beyond season 2016.
I've got to say, they're going to be a miss because, you know, the kind of entertainment that we've had today, all right, driving standards were a bit suspect, shall we say, early on, but fantastic entertainment. And for, you know, these cars, they're loud, they're fast, they look great, their paint schemes, they lend themselves well to the liveries that we've seen on them. They look great in the paddock. You know, this is a good series, and it's a shame to see it disappear.
And if you look,
day now, by the way,
it is beautiful, isn't it? Stark contrast to the qualifying that we had for the Michelin GT3 Le Mans Cup a little while ago. That was in not quite biblical rain, but there was an awful lot of water being left on the road, and it was so tricky just to keep your Ferrari, stroke Porsche, stroke McLaren on the track. Well, now, glorious conditions. But still the possibility of the odd error, even from the local specialist, Miguel Ramos, still leading the race though. Maybe that's his desired line through that corner.
No, he missed his braking point there.
Okay.
And that was a moment.
Have I gone too far? A bit like Fabian Schiller.
There's enough room to make a mistake there, I think. and you can pull it back and sort of say, no, I was just trying a different line.
It was interesting to watch Ben Barker in the European Le Mans Series qualifying. He went so deep into that corner, a couple of wheels on the grass creep, but what you do is you straighten the car up well before the apex almost, or just beyond the apex. You're straightening the car up, which means you can get the power down much earlier, and although it's not the quickest way through the corner, it probably does end up as a good lap time net.
One thing I've noticed now is it's dried out enough that people are using, and these three in particular, are using the extreme left hand side of the circuit going through the kink at turn 8 before you get to the hook at 9, and in fact they're on the AstroTurf turning in there. Now there's not a chance you could have done that earlier on, so they're widening the entrance to the road to try and make that right hand kink rather, just a little bit straighter. Oh my goodness, those bumps are really putting for the car and driver. Watch them as they come round towards turn 8 next time around. Oh, hang on, flash of the lights here. Schiller wants a win.
Okay.
Right.
Well, it's brave stuff.
He's
because
not really close enough, is he?
second place is good enough for the championship to bag that for Fabian Schiller and Marcus Paltela. Bear in mind that at Spa, Schiller won the AM part of the championship as well. So the car's now heading out of turn 4 and towards the right-hand kink they go, with the lights again flashing from the second place car.
Yeah, and as they come further down to round to the far side of the circuit, the time is beginning to run out just a tiny bit for the chasing cars. And heading downhill now. I love the rise and fall. Now watch this, right across, there you go, 2 wheels off there before you turn in to that right-hander, trying to straighten out, trying to get the maximum attack on that right-hand kink. And the gap has closed down. There's no doubt to my mind that the gap has closed down between Miguel Ramos and in second place the Fabian Schiller car. So Schiller is pushing hard. This is a tough one. You want to get on the radio. Oh, there's traffic. There's traffic now. So there's going to be this and one more lap, isn't there?
That's Dennis Anderson up the road in 9th position. I don't think he's going to be too much of a hassle to get around.
Well, you say that, but he's only got to wander into a braking area.
Yeah, true.
Here it is. There's another lap after this one. We've got just under 5 miles to go. Anderson there in that car ahead might be an issue. And this is where Schiller has got to be right up the rear tailpipes of that leading car from Ramos.
So, AM championship already in the bag for Fabian Schiller. He's swinging from left to right to try and distract Miguel Ramos, but he's safely by Dennis Anderson, and that's really closed up the top 2 now. So Fabian Schiller needs to be careful, because what he doesn't want to do is throw the car off the road or have collision with Miguel Ramos, which results in a damaged machine. But the lights are flashing again. He could bring it home in second position, but to win the championship in style, maybe he wants to win this race. And Marcus Paltela, I mentioned how cool and calm he was on the pit wall. Well, maybe less so now. He's cool and calm in the car, but as a spectator, how does he feel? Got wheel spin, I noticed, on the exit of that corner, John.
Yeah, the number 9 car lane, black lines of rubber again. He goes all the way out to the left-hand side, trying to get the slingshot into this 9th corner of 13. Right, he's there. He's now going to be right underneath the rear wing, going on to the start-finish straight. So this is all going to be about, oh my goodness, are we going to see this again going into the last lap? Turn 1, it's all on.
It is all on. It's close enough now between Miguel Ramos and Fabian Schiller. This will be the final lap, because remember, it's 70 minutes plus the extra lap. The lights are flashed again by the young German. Over the line they go, and in the slipstream, Fabian Schiller. I don't think he's going to be close enough to get an overlap this time around, though. And again, that mud is splattering across the windscreen of the number 9 from probably the race leader, Miguel Ramos. So Fabian Schiller, I think, feels like he's way quicker than the Portuguese up ahead. He wants to be clearly ahead of him because Fran Reda is closing in. But even if Reda got through, third place is good enough for the number 9 car. Okay, so up to turn 4 we go, and the Curva VIP. out of that left-hander. Important to get a good exit speed through there. Lights flash again into the right-hand kink. Plenty of curb taken by Fabian Schiller.
Defensive by the leader.
Don't do anything stupid here, though, from Schiller, because this is championship in his grasp between...
Needs a good run here and didn't get it.
He
Lost the front end of the car and the rear.
And Fran Ruder now all over the back of him, and he's surely not going to do anything stupid.
I still say turn 9 is the opportunity for the number 9 car. If he can get close enough, he's dropping away. He needed to be close to that. He needed to be close to that.
I think he's decided to settle for second position, which is good enough, although Miguel Ramos late on the brakes into the, well, he was early on the brakes, in fact, into the chicane, seemed to slow up and almost come to a halt there in front of the race leader, heading for the S's, the right-hand kink, the left-hand kink, and now Parabolica Ayrton Senna between Fabian Schiller and Marcus Paltela, and this year's Endurance Championship, the final ever Renault Sport Trophy Endurance Championship. It'll be a race win for Miguel Ramos at his home track, but look behind for the Mark VDS car of Fabian Schiller over the line. He's the 2016 AM champion, and along with Marcus Paltela becomes the Renault Sport Trophy Endurance champion as well for 2016. And what a great way for the Mark VDS guys with their Estrella Galicia 0.0 backing to have the top 2 cars, or their 2 cars, in the top 3, with Fran Ruder following Fabian Schiller's every move. Congratulations as well to this man, Miguel Ramos, who the result goes his way as far as the lone race is concerned. This race in isolation going the way of Equipe Vasseur, then Stijn Schothorst and Miguel Ramos. It is covered in dirt and shale after a number of off-track moments.
I reckon Schiller ran out of tyres at the end there. He just didn't have the grip through the high-speed stuff, because he really did close in. But a very well-paced race by Miguel Ramos. But you've got to say, Schiller threw that victory away. He had that victory in hand. The pit stop strategy by the team was perfect. Marcus Paltela drove beautifully when all around him were losing their heads early on, and indeed he got turned around. He was pretty much at the back of the field. But that early pit stop gave Fabian Schiller the opportunity to get a bit of clear air, and basically he had better lap times than those around him and got the lead, or at least got the opportunity of the lead, by dint of having some clear laps and getting up to pace very quickly indeed. It's been a good season for him, and he will be going to Le Mans for the 24 hours in 2017, courtesy of winning the AM Championship, and he gets the added bonus and honour of winning the endurance part of the championship as well. Miguel Ramos with the Portuguese flag, which clearly he had in the glove compartment of the car.
Convenient that, wasn't it? And that's another reason why he wanted to win the race, because he had it all set up nicely for the slowing down lap. And let's also congratulate his co-driver Stijn Schothorst, who won the first bit of the race and therefore got maximum points for the Pro Championship. Peter Schothorst led a little bit of the race as well, but Jeroen, sadly, Peter's father, ending in the gravel at turn 13. And that meant that, well, we had for a while Fabian Schiller out front, something like a 6.5 second lead, and Schiller uncharacteristically throwing the thing off the road into the gravel. He kept it pointing in the right direction, crucially though, rejoined in 3rd position, and then got ahead of Fran Ruder to finish eventually in 2nd place behind Miguel Ramos, who gets himself a home win here in Portugal.
Well, yeah, I thought that was a good team drive as well by Fran Ruder, taking over the 15 car halfway through the race from Tanit Santi Tiracul.
So handshakes between the 2 young Mark VDS pilots, and Miguel Ramos is receiving some congratulation there from Stijn Schothorst as well, his co-driver. Doesn't want to get out of the car. It's been his office for the last 35 minutes. Yes, he says, and wait to see his reaction when he sees the front of the car as well. That will need a wash and scrub up overnight ahead of...
Yeah, put it in the museum like that.
Well, they've got 2 sprint races to come tomorrow, that's the problem, but you could run it like that. Yeah, these cars certainly work very, very hard, and I'm sure they will crop up in other areas of motorsport heading into 2017.
They're too good to not.
Other way around, quite right.
Yeah.
So a Dutchman and a Portuguese holding the flag of Portugal. Miguel Ramos grinning from ear to ear behind that helmet. Great drive from him, although it was kind of gifted to him by that mistake from Fabian Schiller. And Schiller,
well, I agree. I agree that he got the 6 seconds back, but I tell you what, he didn't succumb to the pressure after that, Johnny.
No, quite right. Yeah.
I thought that was a very strong drive from Ramos in the last, 10-15 minutes of the race.
I think, as you say, Schiller's tyres were beyond their best. His game plan was to push hard from the outset and get the good bit of the Michelin gone, and then he didn't have much else to lean on at the end of the race. 41 laps we managed to get through, despite several safety car periods in that 70 minutes. 3/4 of a second the margin in the end for Schothorst and Ramos ahead of Paltela and Schiller, the provisional 2016 champions in the Endurance Championship. Tanart, Satyen Terakul and Fran Reder complete the podium ahead of V8 Racing's Josh Webster and Oliver Freimuth.
I think what we do have to say is all results are provisional.
Yes.
Because there's quite a lot of investigation to go on, but I don't think it's going to affect those top 3, if I'm honest. Most of the transgressions, I believe, went on behind the podium finishers.
Yeah, I think that's probably about right. So we can catch up now, having already heard from Stijn Schothorst earlier in the race, with Miguel Ramos, who joins Julian.
And we have two very happy men here in Victoria Lane. Miguel Ramos, home win for you at Estoril. How does it feel?
Really great. Winning at home, it was really great. Last race in Spa, we also deserved to win, but now we have it. So it was great stuff from Stijn, as usual. And I tried to protect. It was very hard conditions with water, so it was easy to make a mistake. The guys made a mistake because they were pushing too much, probably, and then I overtook him again, and I keep it. So it was good.
Thank you, Miguel. Moving over to you, Stijn, a very mature driver in the pro category. How is it for your return to the Renault Sport Trophy?
It's great. It's great. It's good to be back as usual, but yeah, we had a great race. From my side, it wasn't too tough because I could start in front and then just keep the position. But Miguel, to be honest, did a great job. He did all the hard work, I would say, because he really had to fight for it in the end and made it even better and made it all worth it.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Enjoy the podium.
So Miguel and Stijn will head to the top step of the podium very shortly and be joined by Marcus Paltela, Fabian Schiller, Tanart Satyen Terakul and Fran Reder. But a chance for us to look back on the last 70 minutes. This seems like such a long time ago when we had the start of the race, and well, to get 14 cars all the way through that pinch point at turn number 1 was going to be tricky, and it didn't take long for the carnage to kick off with a spin for Marcus Paltela, helped into that, it's fair to say, by Nicky Pastorelli, who also spun. And there were 3 different bits of contact between Nelson Panciatici and Raul Owens. Interestingly, RHGP made a beeline for Lonnie Martins, though, in the pit lane, trying to lay blame at his door. He wasn't involved one iota. 3 abreast, Josh Webster right in the middle with Satyen Terakul to his left and Nicky Pastorelli to his right. Pastorelli managing to get by 2 cars in one manoeuvre. In the background, in fact in the foreground, Kevin Courjus grinding to a halt from 2nd position, and that, remember, is the car that finished in 3rd position, spinning there with Anders Fjord back. Contact between Lonnie Martins and Dario Capitanio into the hook.
After the race, that one.
Yes, unsurprisingly. This was an overlap with Nelson Panciatici getting by Fumanelli, and Pastorelli trying to do likewise at one of the many restarts. And these were the 2 Equipe Vasseur cars heading 1st and 2nd into the first corner. There was contact then for Nicky Pastorelli, which resulted in a front left tyre being deflated. Change at Equipe Vasseur for the race leading car. So that was Miguel Ramos taking charge of the 19 car, and that was a big old moment for Fabian Schiller, his first attempt at taking the lead. He subsequently did get ahead of the Portuguese driver. More action as Lonnie Martins, or Christophe Amon rather, that was virtually on an outlap, I think, for the Frenchman, made contact with Dennis Anderson. And then we got the point where Fabian Schiller made this mistake, having got the race lead and built himself a tidy margin of something like 6 seconds, chasing them down. Oh, that was Jeroen Schothorst disappearing to driver's left at turn 13. That required double waved yellows, and this was the top 3 across the line. You could almost throw a blanket over them, which was impressive stuff after a 70-minute race. Yes, we had, 3 safety car periods, but nevertheless, that kept us guessing to the very final lap. And Miguel Ramos there celebrating with his teammate Stijn Schothorst after a great opening stint from the young Dutchman. and Ramos victorious in his homeland of Portugal. 6 bottles of champagne waiting to be popped very shortly by the top 3, or the top 6 drivers, I suppose you could say, the top 3 positions, and there'll be a team representative as well for Equipe Voiture. So first of all to the podium will be the drivers that finished in 3rd place for Marc VDS EG 0.0.
Jean-Pascal Dos, the head of Renault Sport on the right-hand side there, will be doing the honours in terms of the formalities of handing out the trophies. There he is there in the Renault Sport jacket, just to the right-hand side, beside the gentleman with the white shirt.
So there are the winners, Miguel Ramos and Stein Schartost. Indeed he is, yes. To the right of picture, Fran Reda and Tanot Satin-Terikul to his left. And then on the left of the podium, we have Fabian Schiller and Marcus Paltela. We'll hear the national anthem for the winning team. So Miguel Ramos doesn't quite get to hear the Portuguese national anthem, but for his team, Equipe Voiture, run by Frans Voiture, that's the national anthem of the Netherlands. Stein Schartost joining him on the top step, and there is the representative from Equipe Voiture as well. Interesting expression from Fabian Schiller. I think he feels very, very disappointed not to bow out of this championship. A championship winning year, but just missed out of the win, and purely because of his slight error through that very fast right-hander. And there's Fabian Schiller, stood to the far left of shot with a kind of forced
that's one
smile.
That's got away, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, that's, you're exactly right.
It's a championship winning year, yes, but he wanted that win to firmly secure it. So there are the winning trophies for Miguel Ramos and Stein Schartost, but by my scribbled mathematics, a 2nd position for Paltela and Schiller, still enough to get them the championship after Blomstedt and Courjus did not score, and therefore from 69 to 87 they will leapfrog the tally that Frederick Blomstedt had managed to accrue. And in the middle of the two of Schartost and Ramos is not Frans Voiture, but another member of Equipe Voiture. And yeah, it's difficult to tell anything from the expression of Fabian Schiller and Marcus Paltela, but I'm sure they will be very, very happy tonight. Once it all sinks in, they realise the net result is very good indeed. My thanks to John Hindhoff from Johnny Palmer. We hope you've enjoyed it. Goodbye for now.